Hey there, Grumpy Old Fart here. Be sure to check me out over on Rumble. There you'll find all of my stuff from YouTube, plus my political and social commentary and weekly current events, which YouTube frowns on. Links to my Rumble channel, as well as my other YouTube channels, and links to let you order my books are in the description of this video. If you enjoy my content, please like, subscribe, share, and comment. I welcome your comments, even if you disagree with me. Now, on with the video. Hey there, Grumpy Old Fart here. I'm doing a Star Wars The Role-Playing Game story. I'm titling this one, Piracy in Style. One of the things I enjoy about running Star Wars is the great variety of the types of missions, excuse me, and the types of adventures that the player characters can be sent on, and the variety of places and wonders they can visit and see. The galaxy is a big place, and it contains literally everything. Everything, as we all know, is a pretty big word. One of my favorite things to do with a group of players is to let them wing it. Many times they provide the inspiration for some really great adventures. I have lost count of the number of times a player will have an agenda for his character that he wants to fulfill. I just basically provide the surroundings for that, and I'm along for the ride, and it's a wonderful story that unfolds. I find that if you have good players, you're going to have a good game, regardless of how much planning you do. Years ago, I was running a group of 3 players. We had a quasi Jedi. He was a. I'll get to that in a minute. He was a quasi Jedi, a smuggler, and a mercenary. The smuggler had a light freighter, so they were mobile. They could get around the galaxy. The Jedi had received some training and was a good guy, but wasn't too keen on the law. He was kind of a roguish scoundrel type, for lack of a better word. This is the sad part. He could justify everything he did. This guy was smart. The player was smart. He could justify everything he did, and he never actually tried to hurt people. They smuggled things like medical supplies to people who needed it. They smuggled technically contraband, but not evil by any means. There have been people who have talked about Han Solo, his career as a spice smuggler. As I understand it, spice is an illegal narcotic. So technically he was a drug smuggler. These people smuggled stuff that people needed. Food, grain, that kind of thing. Through blockades and things like that. They were good people. They just weren't real fond of the law. The law got in the way. How's that? The law got in the way of helping people. So anyway, the time period we were playing in was just after Return of the Jedi. The Empire had fallen, but there were factions of the Empire. There was warlords had turned their little planets into fortresses. There was the Imperial remnant was out there, but it was kind of far away. It wasn't. It wasn't. The Empire wasn't a big threat at the moment, but it was still there. If you ran into them, they could give you a hard time, but they weren't the threat that they were. This was before Thrawn, before Jorah Saboth in the Legends books. This was long before Palpatine came back. I mean, this was long before Disney even bought Star Wars, so that's not that Palpatine I'm not talking about. But you understand my point. That was the time period we were playing. It was very shortly after Return of the Jedi. The group had contracted to smuggle needed medical supplies to a distant world. As luck would have it, they were intercepted by an old Interdictor-class cruiser. The gravity well projectors forced them out of hyperspace, and they were caught in a tractor beam. They brought them on board. They confiscated the ship. They confiscated the cargo, and they threw them all in the brig. And it's a cruiser. It's got hundreds and hundreds of people on board with guns. Yeah, fighting it would have been kind of pointless. You know what I'm saying? The one advantage was that the Imperials did not know one of them was a Jedi. The Jedi made judicious use of the force power affect mind. And before long, they were released. The security chief was there, and suddenly he decided, well, yeah, we've got orders to get rid of, let these people out, And I will graciously admit that this Jedi, the player, was rolling really, really well, and a lot of my rolls were bad. So keep that in mind. But they were released, and they made their way to the bridge. It wasn't long before the captain had ordered most of the crew to evacuate the ship. Yeah, really, really good rolls on their part. As it turns out, a good portion of the crew had been replaced by droids for lack of manpower. This particular warlord didn't have the crew to sufficiently outfit all of his ships, so he took the more combat-worthy ones, and he sent the 2 interdictors that he had out as piracy vessels to bring back food and medical supplies and things like that they needed, because he couldn't really import stuff. You can't really import stuff to an imperial, I guess, stronghold. So what they can't produce, they had to steal. Excuse me. And by the way, for this warlord had put a bunch of droids on there, programmed them and put them on there so that they could run the vast majority of the ship just with the droids. And that helped them out a lot. The captain then ordered the interdictor to go to their smuggler's base, where they hired on a new crew and put the Imperials off. Those Imperials were stranded on that world. They were held captive, and they weren't ever going to leave. It's possible they were killed, but I'm not going to go into that. A bit dark, Anyway, so this group of players began using this interdictor to pirate from the Empire and other undesirables, like organized crime and other smuggling rings. An interdictor makes an excellent pirate vessel, plus it's got all the amenities. They had everything on there they would need. They never had to leave the ship. I mean, obviously they want to get fresh air and play in the grass and like that, but, get a fresh meal, some interaction with other people, that kind of thing. Shore leave, as it were. But that interdictor had all the amenities. Because they didn't have to feed the droid crew, they had all that extra space for other stuff. Gymnasiums and all kinds of extra stuff. It became quite a nice little campaign. All in all, that campaign lasted almost 8 months, and we had so much fun. They became quite wealthy. The Jedi was able to fund a number of orphanages, free clinics, and other charities, good organizations, that kind of thing. Ultimately, of course, the Empire got fed up and sent a battle group of Star Destroyers. When the interdictor was destroyed, they had to flee in the smuggler's freighter. But they still got away. And they had all their money because they had invested in banks and things like that, because the galactic banking system was still going. They had all their money and they just fled, and the interdictor got blown up. As I recall, the mercenary and the smuggler are still out there somewhere doing something, but the Jedi opened up his own little academy in some out-of-the-way place. So, worked out well for everybody. At any rate, that was such a fun game, and that's one thing I love about role-playing games, tabletop role-playing games. The players help write the story. The game master in this particular case, me, I didn't have a hell of a lot of work to do. They did it all on their own. So, that's one good advantage of running Star Wars. There's always something to do, even if the players figure it out. If the players set the tone and they write the story for you, you're just along for the ride, running the bad guys. That's about it. So yeah, that was awesome. And if you get a chance, check out Star Wars, the role-playing game. We use the old D6 version, just handfuls of D6 to roll. But yeah, if you get a chance, check it out. It's an awesome game. And I hope this finds everybody well. Hope you enjoyed it. You folks have a good one. God bless one and all. Devo Poland, a scientific representative of a pacifist race called the Gandhiri, is sent away as an exchange officer. His objective, to learn the one skill his species never developed, to fight. and he's sent to learn that skill from the one species who does it better than any other in the galaxy: humans. If you like science fiction with an upbeat military tone, check out my novel, Vanguard One.